On this episode of This Week in Space, NASA makes some Doge cuts, Boeing Starliner slips to 2026, and Liam Kennedy from CERN and ISS Above is going to tell us what that overview effect is and what it's like to build a camera that beams live video from space. So tune in, don't miss it.
Podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
This is This Week in Space, episode number 154, recorded on March 28th, 2025, The View from On High. Hello and welcome to another episode of This Week in Space, the View from On High edition. I'm Rod Pyle, Editor-in-Chief, Badass Magazine. I'm joined by my orbiting buddy, Tarek Malik, Editor-in-Chief at Space.com. Hello, partner.
Hello, Rod. How are you doing today? Happy Friday.
I'm doing okay. There's a whole story there, but I'm not going to go into it because why waste people's time with my problems? We'll be joined very shortly by Liam Kennedy, who is a very cool guy, an old friend of both Tarek's, myself, and the gentleman behind ISS Above, which is one of the coolest products you're going to hear about between now and Christmas, and also working with the company Ascend that has installed cameras on the International Space Station that you can access in 4K, which is not something that NASA ever provided you. So that's incredibly cool. Now, before we start, because we're cool too sometimes, please don't forget to do us a solid. Make sure to like and subscribe and do the other podcast things because we love you and we need to know that you love us. All right. And now it's time for a space joke.
I'm ready. I look forward to it every week. Oh, whoa.
Thank you very
That's
much.
fun. Is that
This
new?
one, yes. This one comes from my friend James Golden, who I've been working with for a few months. Brilliant guy. Hey, Tarek.
Yes, Rod.
Why did Winnie the Pooh go to space?
I don't know. Rod, for honey?
To meet Eeyore. To meet Eeyore.
I get
Meteor.
it. I get it.
I know, it's all in the pronunciation.
That doesn't deserve a sound effect. No.
What? No,
Okay, I'll
good.
do one then. Okay, good.
Thank you.
Now, I've heard some people want to send us to the International Space Station when it's joke time of this show, but you can help by sending us your best, worst, or most different space joke to twis@twit.tv.
I like that one.
We will use them and give you credit, and I like it too.
Yeah.
Mr. Cranky Pants John Ashley.
I know.
Okay. All right. So
Everyone's a critic.
Let's move on
No
to the
respect.
news from Space News.
Yes, from space.
Headline news.
Headline. Oh, I missed it.
Hey, John Ashley is on the case. From Space News, we have NASA cutting $420 million via our friends at Doge, not our friends. Now, is this the science budget or something else?
So these are contracts. Yeah, this was something that NASA confirmed. So Jeff Faust over at Space News spotted this one because Doge tweeted out on Friday how great a job NASA did cutting or terminating $420 million in contracts. And Bethany Stevens, the NASA press secretary, confirmed it to Space News, saying that that they did, in fact, get those. Now, Doge called these unneeded contracts. Bethany Stevens, she said that NASA was committed to optimizing their workforce in cooperation with Doge, and that these were, I guess, either extraneous or contracts they didn't truly have to have. You know, that they're redundant or misaligned.
You mean
core
like
mission
things
priorities.
like showing the public, and I'm referring to my contract here, which was canceled a year and a half ago, like showing the public what NASA's actually doing with their money. That's considered extraneous because why would we want to be accountable to the public for their tax dollars we're spending by demonstrating what's actually happening in the good works?
Apparently, yeah. I mean, there's. I could write you a book. Well, I couldn't write you. I could tell you how I would want to write you a book.
You keep claiming you're going to write a book
about all of the transparency stuff that's not happening right now. It's a pain and a half. But this was like one of the first like really significant, I think, confirmations about Doge cuts from contracts and whatnot, and I'm sure it's not going to be the last. So I thought it was worth kind of flagging to let everyone know that this is going on because it's budget season. We're waiting for the skinny budget from the new administration to see. And if you always care about NASA funding, this is the time to write your representative or senator and say, hey, support this, that kind of thing.
And try and keep it civil. All right.
Exactly.
Now the rest from space.com. Oh, hold on. Boeing Starliner in 2026.
Oh yeah, why were you laughing?
What's happening?
Why are you laughing?
Because I'm cruel. No, because Starliner kind of made itself a bit of a punchline.
Yeah, we got an update finally from NASA and Boeing this week about the plans for testing. During the Crew 9 landing, there were a lot of questions to NASA's Commercial Crew Office about what is happening with Starliner. When will it fly astronauts, etc. And what NASA outlined was their big plan to really, I guess, soup to nuts test the helium issues that they had on the thrusters out in the desert over the summer, with the goal of a late 2025, but most likely early 2026 next Starliner crew launch. I believe it's a crew launch right now, but it's still, I guess it all depends on how these tests go. And to remind people, there were issues with the helium leaks in their propulsion system and the failure of 5 of 28 RCS thrusters, basically, during this last flight that they have to address in different ways. And they have now outlined their test campaign for that. It's going to happen over the next few weeks and months through the summer over at White Sands, and hopefully meet NASA and Boeing specs to get astronauts back on board this thing.
I think we should go out and help them by inhaling helium and talking like chipmunks.
We should do a whole episode like that. That'd be awesome.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good idea. Of course, that means you got to breathe a lot of helium an hour. Okay. Which one do you want to do next?
Well, we can do a couple of things. I think shotgun mode, right? Because we're talking about Boeing and commercial spacecraft. Just to let everybody know, there was an issue that you don't see every day. Northrop Grumman's next cargo launch on a Cygnus spacecraft, which right now is launching on SpaceX rockets until Northrop Grumman builds a new one. Actually has been canceled. They're going to skip Northrop Grumman CRS-22, go straight to CRS-23 in the fall, because the spacecraft itself was damaged when it was being shipped from Europe after final assembly to Florida. They were hoping it was just the canister that it was in during shipping.
This is the Antares rocket?
It's the Cygnus spacecraft, the cargo ship. So the Antares rocket right now is in an engine redevelopment, so it's going to have a U.S. built engine. And so while they're waiting for that, they're launching on SpaceX Dragon. NASA has said that they're going to add food and supplies and stuff so that there isn't too much of an
itself
impact.
got
the actual spacecraft, the actual Cygnus spacecraft for this flight got damaged, and apparently to the point where it's either unsalvageable or can't be fixed in time for a spring launch. So the next one will be in the fall. They'll amp up the deliveries on a visiting Dragon in April, so that there is enough food, is enough water, all that stuff for the crew, and hopefully things will work out.
So how would you like to be the guy named Cliff who was actually the one that secured the straps around the Cygnus, and as it was being lifted, one of the straps let go and bang, down it went and got bent in half?
I would very much not like to be that guy. So,
yeah, that would be a bad day. Okay.
But speaking of launches, just very quick note, we will have a historic launch on March 31st. That is the Fram2 mission. Exciting. It's the first ever human spaceflight over Earth's poles, and this is financed. It's one of those private missions that SpaceX launched by I'm going to get this wrong. It's a cryptocurrency magnate is how we described him, from Malta, Chun Wang, who is paying for the whole thing. Everything is private. There's some really interesting people on board, but they'll spend about a week in space doing science experiments, and it's very much in that same mold as the Isaacman Polaris flights, right? So SpaceX has a line for these, but they're launching Polar from Florida, and that'll be very exciting.
Which has never, ever been done.
Never been done before.
I mean, military satellites go in polar orbits, but never a crewed one. So this is a big deal. And he has single-handedly raised the percentage of Maltese citizens that are astronauts to be higher than anywhere else on the planet, right? Because only Liechtenstein or the Vatican would even compare.
Yeah. So that's great. I mean, he's bringing he has Jannica Mikkelsen from a Norwegian filmmaker as the Fram2 mission commander. He has Rabia, I think it's Roger is how you pronounce her last name, as the pilot. She's an engineer and scientist from Germany. She specializes in robotics and polar research. Big big mission for her to fly over the poles from space. You have Eric Phillips as their medical officer. He's a Australian polar explorer, and so they're going to have a good week in space and really just they got their own experiments, of course, but they're going to see some sights that we haven't seen in ever with human eyes.
Okay, hold on, I'm stifling a yawn. Katy Perry has a launch date.
Katy Perry's going to, that's right. We talked about Katy Perry going to space on the all-female Blue Origin launch. Now we know when. It's the day before tax day, April 14th. She launches with Gail King and Jeff Bezos' fiance, who is kind of organizing the whole flight. And it's an all-female mission. Of course, it's the first all-female mission since Valentina Tereshkova in the 60s, which I was really surprised to learn that stat. You'd think that would have happened before. Well,
and that's only because she was solo.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So just a quick note, if you're wondering where that mission is, that's where that mission is. And then finally, just as a reminder, there is a solar eclipse tomorrow, a partial solar eclipse over the far northern US and Canada, but Canada is the best place to be. Of course, at space.com, we will have live streams. It starts quite early, like 5:30 in the morning. So you have to wake up.
You're showing a picture there in your article of an annular. This isn't an annular, right?
No, it's a partial solar eclipse.
Yeah.
Okay. But annulars can also be partial solar eclipses until they're total. So
well, they never really get total. Yeah.
Exactly. The hybrid ones do. But anyway, we're not here to parlance eclipse talk. We're here to say there's an eclipse coming. Everyone should go see it or watch it online. Just get up. It's worth getting it up.
To say, look at the cover of the upcoming issue of Ad Astra magazine if you're on video.
Look at that.
See the Chesley Bonestell inspired. This is Jim Vaughn, our cover illustrator, who does really great work. And actually, the cover illustration, which I've been dying to use for a couple of years, even though it's kind of, not exactly realistic to be hanging out right next to Saturn like that anytime soon, but inspired me to write a story about a big study that came out of JPL a while back on outer solar system human crewed missions. So
nice. I would love to see that.
In a bookstore near you very soon. This is the hard proof check copy, so it'll be in the mail in a couple of weeks.
I'll have to pick one up. When I see it at Barnes and Nobles. So.
Or just join the National Space Society at nss.org, and you can get free copies by being a member.
Wow. Maybe I'll do that instead.
One every 3 months. All right. We are going to run to a quick break, and then we'll be back with Liam Kennedy, so strap in. And we are back with Liam Kennedy, who is the founder and inventor of ISS Above and a space TV director for SEN. Liam, what does it mean to be a space TV director? Because that's something that sounds very cool, and I wish I was one.
I know exactly what you mean, Rod. Yeah, what does that space TV director actually mean? It really means just whatever I make it up to mean. But yeah, it's the coolest job title I've ever had. Thank you so much to Charles Black, who's the founder of SEN. And we are an organization that is set up to stream live views of the Earth from space and allow that to be free to the public to view. Space TV is actually the name of our payload, which is on the International Space Station and streaming those live views to the Earth right now. And so Space TV director, I guess I'm technically the dude who is pulling the strings on, camera 1, camera 2, camera 3 on the space station. So that's part of what I do. And every day I'm capturing clips from our payload, and then our team are curating those, sharing them on socials, and obviously making them available to everyone 24/7 through our streaming channel, both on YouTube and on our own website, sen.com.
All right. Well, we're going to have a lot more questions about that. But before I have my questions, Tarek has his trademark question for you.
Yeah, well, Liam, whenever new guests come on the show, we usually like to ask what their space story is. What was your road to space that led you to become a space director. I know you've done some other work too, including founding ISS Above, which we've got links to too on our sheet here. But what was it? Was it something when you were a kid that really grabbed you and you were like, I'm going to find my place in this space per se, or was it just like a happenstance discovery that happened later on in life?
Yeah, so I'll start. First of all, the very initial part of me that sort of got inspired to do all of this was my 6-year-old version of me. That was how old I was when the Apollo moon landing was happening. So at 6 years old, I was the guy in the UK, that's where I'm from, and I was the reason that my whole family had to stay up all night and wait for the moon landing to happen. And I heard later in life that my siblings were rather ticked off with me that I was the one that did that, but they forgave me in the end. So I've always been interested in space for as long as I can remember. Obviously, I moved over to the US at one point, started up a software development company in the late 90s and into the 2000s. And during that time, got involved a lot in live streaming. Was doing live streaming of events for quite some time. And then during that, I got hooked on astronomy. And space. I was president of Orange County Astronomers in Orange County, California.
Oh my gosh, we're good neighbors. So
there you go.
I used to work there for the Los Angeles Times.
There you go. So, really just that's what got me into this. And I started out a public access TV show called Look Up Tonight. And that got me, when you have that kind of thing, you have a reason to connect with people like the Planetary Society and JPL. And I had lots of interviews and things like that with those folks. But really what's inspired me is to be someone who is like an informal educator for the public about space and science. And my show then was called Look Up Tonight. And part of what we do, many astronomers do, you take your telescopes out to the public and you show them amazing things in the skies. And what was happening, if you remember, end of the 90s was when the space station was being built.
Yeah.
So commonly, part of the evening show was, oh, look up, there is a space shuttle about to dock with the space station. And all of that got me really understanding that the public, many of them had no clue that we even had an international space station. Yeah. So it was my job to make sure that people understood that that was happening. And that's where I invented this little thing behind me called the ISS Above. And you'll see it's flashing. It's a Raspberry Pi computer that tracks the space station and lights up whenever the station is above.
Let's get into that detail later because I need to jump in with some more questions.
Go for it.
And I have to ask you, where the heck were you when I was running Pasadena Community Television for a year and a half? Because I was stuck with endless city council meetings, cat lady videos of all their cute kittens, but my favorite was a woman who staged a sitcom in her garden with plants talking to each other. And it was actually very clever, a little insane, but very clever. But I would have killed to have your show or your feed on what we were doing. But you were in Pasadena, home of JPL and the Planetary Society, right? Yeah, but this was 91. There was no way to get that stuff for us.
I want to commend Liam. I mean, the live stream, like getting into that in the 90s when it was still like on the pages.
It was dial-up.
Science fiction. Yeah.
4400. That's right. We did dial-up. I live streamed a whole astronomy conference from UC Irvine in 1998.
From dial-up to the International Space Station.
Yeah, we did sometime in the late 80s, I guess it was. We did the shuttle return to flight at Griffith Observatory, and I had to organize getting a signal So we got a temporary satellite dish. I think it was K-band or KU band or something. I mean, it was huge. It was the size of a car, just to get the live link so we could put it up in the planetarium theater. Anyway, that's what we're here to talk about. So what is the difference between ISS Above and SEN? That was something I'm not quite clear on.
Yeah, so I created ISS Above in 2013 to inspire, really, it was to inspire my grandson, Owen, to know every time the astronauts were above. It was my thing was having more people aware that this was going on. And the way that I did that was to hook people in by having this cool gizmo that lights up when the space station's above. And that's what was featured on early episodes of Coding 101 on Twit. A whole set of things like that.
He's a friend of the family, John. he's got pictures of him with his arm draped around Leo's shoulder, and Leo's looking real happy and everything. So yeah, he's an old timer.
But what that device does, you plug it into a TV, and it shows you all this info about every time the space station's passing by, the crew. And then in April 2014 was when NASA started live streaming views of the Earth from their own cameras full time. And that was through an experiment called HDEV, the High Definition Earth Viewing Experiment. And what that really showed is when I started displaying that through the ISS Above over here, that all the folks who got one through a Kickstarter, if you've been to the Planetary Society office any time since then, my ISS Aboves are attached to every single big screen TV that's in the Planetary Society offices, and been there since 2015, whenever they moved it into that new place. Yeah. So through all of that time, these devices were in schools and science centers. There's now 5,000 of these all around the world. And schools feature this live video feed from NASA's camera. They have been doing it for all that time. But I discovered early on that the live feed from NASA's cameras was not guaranteed. There were times when HDEV was supposed to be removed in 2017. Luckily, it didn't, but it eventually died in 2019. So I, the dude who just created this thing for my grandkids, I wanted to make sure that there was a secure system that provided live views of the Earth to the public. When you have this kind of system and you have schools, teachers relying upon it, you really do appreciate how much the public appreciates these views when they know it's available. So I personally went on my own journey to try and secure upgraded cameras, because you're probably like me, you want things to be as high quality as they possibly can. And so I was on a journey to upgrade them from the low quality high def that NASA had to higher quality 4K. And SEN is really, for me, that ultimate fulfillment of the promise that I gave to myself and to the public, that we would have upgraded cameras and a camera system that would be available free to the public.
So I'm the guy that people will say that kind of thing. To surely want the highest quality. And I mean, I worked in television for 20 years, and half the time I look at it and go, what, this isn't the highest quality? I don't know if it's just my old eyes or just ignorance on my part. But we're going to find out when we come back from this break. So stand by. We'll be right back. All right, Tarek, you're up.
Well, yeah, I guess that's the next question, was that evolution, to SEN. I mean, there may be people out there, Liam, who don't know what SEN is, and how that story took place, and there is a difference. I am one of those whose heart was broken when the HDEV cameras went offline, and we have these other ones here, and you can tell. And now, and I don't know if it's too much of a spoiler, the difference between watching a spacecraft arrive or leave the station through the SEN cameras versus that one that's still working on the space station that stretches out the vehicles and makes them look like cartoons of themselves.
When you say that one that stretches out, you mean the NASA camera?
The NASA camera, yeah,
Right,
the older one
Yeah.
that is clearly all grainy for what we're all using. So explain what SEN is. You found obviously like minds to make this happen, and it wasn't like you snapped your fingers and you got cameras on the International Space Station overnight. So what is SEN? What's the goal to, I guess, evolve that view from space, passion that you have?
Yeah. So SEN, at its heart, is a company that's set out to stream live views of the Earth and of other locations from space and make them available free to the public. And I've got to credit Charles Black, the CEO, for coming up with that idea when he was just in the early days of his journey through college, where he just had the vision that that's what he wanted to leave as a legacy. And
we should point out, just sorry to interrupt, but for people that are watching the stream, we got views of a Starliner undocking that was absolutely
this isn't live. It was spectacular. But this is not live. Starliner hasn't returned.
It's just so that people understand that level of resolution is like sci-fi movie level. So okay, sorry.
Let's go back to that moment. I'll fill in the blanks in a little bit, but so here you're seeing that view of Starliner as it's undocking. And the incredible part of the SEN story is that we only started live streaming 30 minutes before that happened.
I know.
So it was, and we shared the link to people that we know at Johnson Space Center in the flight control room. We actually shared it with the lead flight director, Ed Van Cise, and also Chris Hadfield, who's an advisor and astronaut ambassador with us, shared it with other people at the flight control system there. So they were watching our feed right as this was happening. And it was a truly iconic moment. And we just amazing that the stars aligned almost, because that camera system launched March of last year, really about this time. Wow. And it wasn't installed until the end of August. And then just a short while after is when Starliner undocked and you got that view. So the camera system that's on the space station is not the first camera that we've had in space. In fact, we've been on 2 prior systems, and this is what got my attention. Remember when we were all crying ourselves to sleep, Tarek, when the HDev died? It was July like 29th or something was when it was in 2019. I was at the ISS R&D conference giving another presentation there about my ideas for replacing the cameras. So that died, but earlier on that year, May 2019, I discovered that there was this company called SEN who launched their own hosted payload of a set of 6 cameras on a satellite called ArabSat-A, I think it is. Yeah. It was actually built by Russian Energia. And Charles's pathway to sort of get this here culminated in that moment where he'd managed to get this 6 camera system on that satellite, and then it was really used. Its primary purpose was to capture spacecraft operations, like solar panels opening and things like that. But he designed it in such a way, the engineers designed it, that it would be able to live stream for the very first time 4K Earth views. Wow. And that happened in May of 2019. So that's when, shortly after that, that's where I reached out to Charles and we got talking about, all of the further ideas that were going on. to get eventually. I was the guy that was just outside of all of this and selfishly wanted, for the benefit of you and others, that we would have that capability on the space station. And the result is, yes, we've got that. But between then and now, CERN also have their own satellite called ETV-A1, Earth TV. That was built by a third party, and we integrated our camera system onto that. That was launched in January of 2022, been up there ever since, and that was really another test case. So all of those were about testing our completely custom design, sensors, lens, all of the processing power, all of that is under our control. And that's now what is on the space station. Now, you may wonder, how on earth, we're a commercial company.
Yeah.
How do we get there?
How do you make money doing that, Liam? If you're providing live views of Earth for free. So
yeah, so it's for free, as you'll expect, with a catch. The catch is that it's on platforms where there will be advertising. So consequently, like right now, if you were to go to YouTube, you would see ads coming in every now and again, unless you have YouTube Premium. So if ever there was a reason to get YouTube Premium, this is the reason to get it.
So excuse me, if I'm on YouTube, what am I looking up?
Yeah, so the CERN channel is just called CERN. So if you just go to youtube.com/@CERN, or even just CERN, it will take you to the YouTube channel, and then there's only one live stream on there. You will see hundreds of clips. So the best place to see clips is actually on CERN.com. We curate them there. The other way that, yes, there are opportunities for us to return investor value is that folks can purchase the clips. So although it's free for private use, it's not available for people to download the clips and use them themselves without coming to us for a proper license. So, as you'd expect for any organization that is involved in media, they sort of work with that. So you can get the clips in various different ways. And the other part of this is that think of us as the go-to location for live views of the Earth in this case, but we have plans for other destinations too. But really, wherever people want to be included in the space race, we want to be the eyes. So rather than as an afterthought, sort of like, there can be operational reasons to have cameras on spacecraft. And by the way, the live feed right now is just about to be sunrise. So if there was any way to bring it up, sunrise is happening at this very second. There you go. I know it's off to the corner, and you see the other bit that's lighting up there.
Sorry to the people listening to the audio stream, but this is sensational.
Yeah, the sun is rising in the lower right corner. There is a Dragon spacecraft on the left, docked to the station, slowly being revealed from the blackness of space.
Tarek, you should have been on radio.
You are Space TV director, Tarek. That is exactly what.
Well, or at least play-by-play. Hey, I want to ask you what it takes. I mean, as a normal couple of citizens, I mean, you Charles did this together, I guess. What it takes to get a camera space rated, because I know that ain't easy. Having worked with NASA on a couple of space act agreements. So I want to learn all about that as soon as we get back from this next break. So hold on to your ejection seats. We'll be right back. So let's say, somebody like Tarek wants to fly something to the space station, and then somebody's got to, I guess, take it in their gloved hand to go out and install it on the outside of the space station.
Why is it not me? It should be me to do that.
Oh, there's so many reasons. I mean, So there's requirements about how it's constructed, how it handles electricity. Is it outgassing anything nasty that's going to poison the environmental control system? And it goes on and on and on. How do you do this without having $1 billion at your disposal?
Yeah, that is the big question.
He said, yeah.
Yeah. So, because it does take a lot. Now, SAN obviously went through several stages of proving its technology and having it flight hardware tested. So a lot of that was done through the first project and the second project. And then I came into it at a point where I was just this dude who created this cool tool. I've got to say, NASA have been very supportive of what I provided through ISS Above. They always love it when someone is adding value to what they're doing.
Right.
So during that journey, I became an education partner with the ISS National Lab, otherwise known as CASIS. They are the group that were designated to get commercial opportunities happening on the space station. So I'd known for many years that there was a pathway for any kind of commercial company to get their payloads onto the space station. And that's where I found out that there was this new location called Bartolomeo. That's the location on the space station. Location is what is important. And this is right at the front of the station, has commanding views. And in fact, I can show you a little demo of where this is. And I will get back to the detail of NASA safety reviews and what that meant for going through this. I don't know if you want me to take you on a little journey to show you where this camera is on the station.
Let's do it.
Yeah. So what we're seeing here, by the way, anyone who has a reason to get this, you can apply to get this software. You could have this. And it's the highest resolution, fidelity version of the space station. And in fact, so what I'm zooming in here, I'm going over the Crew Dragon right here, and our camera is right over here.
On ESA's Columbus module.
On the Columbus module, that's right. And our camera doesn't look like a camera system, and you can't see the lenses, but it's this little box right here. And we have 6 cameras, 2 pointed at the docking port, 2 pointing down, and 2 pointing at the horizon. And that's what we just saw is the docking cam. And that's where you got to see the great view of the sun rising. But if I go, so I'm going to go up and out a little bit to show you this. So do you remember HDEV?
Yes.
That was just over here. Hope everyone's enjoying being an astronaut. That was really just...
I'm getting vertigo
on this
just watching.
corner here, and that's how you could see both forward and aft, because they had a view of the rear, the aft of the station with the Russian segment, and then also over this way showing the Earth's limb and such like. So we're relatively close to where that is, but we're on this little shelf called Bartolomeo. And on Bartolomeo, there are places for a bunch of different experiments. It's a perfect location for Earth observation because we have this clear commanding view available to us. Nadir going down, and also at the horizon, and then also over here at the docking port. And that's what our live view is showing right now. And the current place where NASA has, so when HDEV died, NASA actually went through a couple of different iterations to have cameras available. But where I'm going to take you is where the current one is, which is right over here. And this is, they have a bunch of these scattered around the station, but this one was like a spare one. And what they're doing, I'm going to swivel it around.
So for those listening, what you're missing is a high resolution software generated tour of the space station as it sits at this minute, but as directed by our guest.
Yeah. So, and let me just go over this. I'm going the wrong way here.
And I always love, it's great radio when the host is saying, what you can't see right now. It's a home run. Goodbye, Mr. Spaulding.
For folks listening, we've moved from the kind of front end of the station where the send cameras are to the mid body along the truss, is what it looks like here.
Yeah, so we're right by the Solar Alpha rotary joint, the starboard one. And that's where NASA's camera is. And Terry, do you recognize? So what we've got here, this is the view that is in NASA's camera, pretty much. And there's a whole big obstruction in the field of view. This is literally what you see on the main NASA feed. There's a famous thing here called Flap2, which is basically a spare pump module that was in the way. So this. I'm really just showing you this to say, I had your back. Sen had your back around
this nice camera, and there's a big old pump module in the way. Those are like the size of a fridge, by the way.
Yeah.
Those pump modules.
So, and I've got to say, so all deference to and recognition for NASA, because they had the foresight. There were folks at NASA that said, this is what we want to do. We want to make video available for free to the public, showing the views of the Earth from the space station. And really what I did, I'm one of those people they inspired. So they only have themselves to blame. And that was part of the story. I've been poking at NASA since 2016 about, are you going to upgrade? When are you going to upgrade? There's a chance your camera system can die. What's the replacement? And they luckily, took my prodding as, something that was, they tolerated it, I would say. But I kept them informed of what I was doing, because along the way to send, there were several other companies that I took to NASA to have them consider putting cameras on. All of those projects didn't come to fruition. I'm so glad that it was Sen that was in the end, because those other companies would have been great. I'd have loved to have do them, but to work with them. But Sen has, its whole mission is to do this. Mm-hmm. It's not to get a particular camera in space. No, it is about the vision that really encompasses the overview effect. That is core to what we're about. It's what drives me. It's what you were drawn to, Tariq. With these views, there's something that happens when you really put yourself in the position of, this is really happening right now.
Well, that's what I wanted to ask Ness was about that, right? Because we've heard this on the show from several guests in the past. I've heard it, and I know Rod has heard it from astronauts.
Including Frank White.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yes.
Right? The coiner of the term. And one of the things that astronauts have told me and have said publicly when they kind of talk this, Ron Garan, most notably, I think wrote a whole book about it, is just how, I guess, how do I want to say it? How unified maybe like the planet is, and the impact of that on the beholder. So can you kind of go into a little bit about that overview, maybe how it affected you when you saw these views, and what value you're hoping your viewers who are tapping in just to see what the view might be like on any given day are getting from just seeing the planet in a way that very few, like just over 500 or so people, have been able to see with their own eyeballs.
Yeah, so let me take it. You mentioned the person who coined the term overview effect is Frank White, good friend of mine, and he wrote the book called
Literally.
The Overview Effect.
Yeah,
right. So that's where it comes to. But he didn't just write a book; he created the book, created the term before it was really fully acknowledged that was a thing. Since then, he's been a driver of having astronauts really share what happens to them in space when they look at the Earth, and how that works for them. And yes, you coined it great. So Ron Aaron, he created the book called The Orbital Perspective. Again, in that same theme. Now, we all know, you don't necessarily get to see borders from space, but it's really from that point of view. Now, when I put ISS Above out there, I mercilessly used quotes from customers who described the times when they had it on their TV. This was the old HDEV. And they talk about how they would have neighbors around who hadn't seen this before, and they're sitting in front of the TV with their mouths agape at what they're seeing. And as a result, they decide to go up and clear out their neighborhood. They have a neighborhood clean out thing, sort of like something that happens in space. They see themselves from space. And then the result is that you get action on the ground. So that's orbital perspective, where you take that transformation and then you do something on the ground that improves the way you're living.
So we're very fortunate that an orbital view can't show the mess that is Tarek's studio and my studio, where people would be coming over to help clean us out. I want to come back and talk more about ISS Above as soon as we go to our last break, so stand by. So I don't mean to cut you short if you want to talk more about overview effect. I just want to make sure we actually talk about the product before we run out of time. Did you have more to say about overview?
So what I would say is, here, take note, everyone. The International Space Station passes you by 5 to 8 times every day. And many times throughout the week, there will be times when the station's going right over you. If it happens to be during the daytime, you'll see you in daytime. And I don't know whether you can run the clip that shows where you and I live, Rod. That's the one that shows approaching Long Beach, LA. I live a little bit south from there. I'm talking about where your boat is docked.
Right.
But that really gives you a sense of how you can feel connected to what's going on in space when you see yourself from space. And especially if it's in real time, the fact that it's real time is a huge part of what's available here. So it can be in real time over Australia. So throughout the day, you'll see it wherever it is. And yes, there are some things going on in the world, fires, earthquakes, wars. Just the other night, we went right over Israel, the Middle East, and it was in the dead of night. And there I could pick out where Gaza is, Tel Aviv, Jerusalem. So it's an opportunity for people to see themselves and to really use that as an opportunity to experience the world in that way and feel closer to one another. That's part of it.
And from what I'm seeing, we're seeing an orbital view right now. I don't think it's Long Beach, but I am pretty certain that my boat looks better from 200 miles up than it does from 10 feet
Probably
away.
does, yeah.
Yeah, Rod's boat, my old apartment, they're like 5 blocks away from each other.
Okay, just so people understand, he was not living in my boat. Well, you might have been. I didn't own it then. But so ISS Above is a Raspberry Pi computer that you customized. Is that right?
Yes, that is exactly it.
Is that part of the chain that gets me this imagery, or is it strictly what gives me the data about what's going on?
Yeah, ISS Above is just sort of an adjacent thing to what Sen does. It really is that the ISS Above is my origin story of how I got here. Without that, and without what it is that Leo did and others at Twit did, I've got to say, I don't think I'd be here.
Yay, Twit!
That really is. I'm honest to goodness. I love the people of Twit, and all of the viewers that sort of really made this possible. It's just a little device that allowed me to follow my passion of having the public be aware of every time the astronauts were above. And if fact, it's coming sort of full circle because NASA's now invited me to create something called the ISS Above experience at Space Symposium.
Hey!
Oh,
wow.
how cool.
So at Space Symposium, big space conference.
The
that's
space
happening
conference,
the one in Colorado Springs.
It's the biggest one, yeah.
Because what is happening is November of this year is the 25th anniversary when astronauts have been living permanently on the space station. And my device is all about letting you know every time those people are above. So ISS Above experience will be showing that. But the SEN-related part of that is that the live video feed switches from NASA's to SEN's and such like. So it will sort of be that opportunity. So you can, I'm not trying to plug ISS Above here in the least, but obviously if you go to issabove.com, you'll see how you can get one. There's ways to get the download image. If you're a Raspberry Pi geek, which I know a fair proportion of Twit folks are into, you can build your own as well.
Okay, so the real question though is, could somebody like Tarek do it?
I don't know.
If you handed me a Raspberry Pi, I'd sit there and start drooling like my Labrador looking at a milk phone.
Yeah. So the good thing is it comes in a box that is just. I'm trying to sort of show this over here. It comes just in a box with all the instructions. You can have it up and running in 5 minutes.
All right.
So that version, you just plug it in and away you go. You configure the location in a browser, and then at that point, it's flashing, lighting up every time the space station is above your horizon. Where are you, Tarek? By the way, what part of the universe?
we're based in New York City, but I'm based outside, like just a little bit outside in New Jersey, northern New Jersey.
Yeah. So I'll be there in April because I've the company ARM, which is the big $50 billion company that's behind the ARM processor chip, which is in every Raspberry Pi, almost every phone. All of our computers, all of that stuff often has ARM processors. They're in our payload on the space station. I'll have you know as well. They sponsored an ISS Above into almost every Queen's public library.
Oh, wow.
So if you ever go into a Queen's public library, they now have ISS Aboves in every location there, actually over 50. So it's not all of them, but it's almost all of them. So I'll be visiting because they have Space Week in April.
We have to go to that.
Lots of stuff going on. Astronauts coming by, and then I'll just be making an appearance. So I look forward to. Hopefully, we can meet up when I'm in town.
I'm always
Tarek,
down.
before you jump into your next question, we got a question from Out of Sync on the Discord, which is part of the club for people who don't know. If you joined, you could be asking questions too. Out of Sync says, so how about a live 180-degree VR stream?
Yeah.
Wow, that's a bit of a step up, isn't it?
I know. So for those of you who are interested, bandwidth is the number one resource that is really critical to what we do. So the space station has about 600 megabits of total bandwidth available. And that's used for every purposes. Our bandwidth allocation goes through the ESA, European Space Agency's allocation. And we have a top limit of about 10 meg. We tend to stream at 8 meg. To do a full 360 VR, you need a lot more.
Yeah.
That's part of what's there. But talking about development further on, what we've got going on here is we already are on the bench doing designs on the next version. So don't just think about we've got 6 cameras, double up of everything. Think of like 3 times as many cameras for our next version. Yeah. And yes, steerable. We did steerable before on the first hosted payload. We're going to be providing lots more opportunities there. We're also looking to be in other locations on the space station. And then everyone, hands up if you've heard the story. The space station's going to be deorbited.
That's my next question. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, we're definitely, we have our sights on every other location you can imagine. Everyone you know about, and including some others that you probably don't know about yet. So yeah, our plan.
Excuse me,
is
when
to
you
be
say
there.
every location, you mean like what Voyager Space is doing? What
You got it.
Vast.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Orbital
So-
reef. The moon, right? What about the moon?
The moon, exactly. Yeah. So just on a call with the NASA Artemis folks just last week. Charles and I were. So yeah, we want to be everywhere. But we want to be everywhere for you, for the public. That's what it's all about. There's an art and science available with what we're doing. There's something that's very nourishing to humanity is what we're really all about.
Yeah.
And yes, we need to make some money.
Oh,
I guess you kind of talked a bit about what my last question was going to be, is that, the name of your invention obviously is ISS Above. The SEN cameras are on the ISS. The ISS turns 25 in November of crewed spaceflight. NASA's put kind of an end date in the 2030s ish. Those cameras, unless you're going to send astronauts to go get them or a robotic arm to pack it away, are going to have a fiery grave, in the center of the Pacific Ocean. And so I'm curious, like, where you want to see the next SEN camera. Is it on a private space station? Is it on a free-flying spacecraft like we see with SpaceX and Fram2 launching in a few days, into an orbit we've never seen before with human eyes? That sort of thing. What is that stepping stone like?
Yeah.
Because it sounds like you have a very flexible payload box that you can put in different places.
Yeah, that's exactly the story of SEN. Our systems are not so expensive that we'll be, crying ourselves to sleep when the space station. I'll be crying myself to sleep every night when the station isn't there. Just let everyone know that. But yeah. There's some things that I probably can't talk about in terms of how it might go. Yeah. But everyone's in the same boat. We have experiments on the space station. What happens? Do we just throw them away, or will there be an approach to transfer them from one station to another?
That would be cool.
That's one thing. But yeah, so it is special to be on a place where human beings are. So undoubtedly, that's what a big part of my driver is. Where humans are, we want to be the eyes of those humans in a way for the public. So everywhere that can go is an important one. But we're also working, we had our first ETV A1. We're looking to future versions that will be in LEO and in other places. So cislunar, we want to be located conveniently where there's ability to get lots of bandwidth. So like Intuitive Machines has they have the contract for the lunar data network. And that will be done through cislunar orbiting spacecraft, for instance. So heads up, Intuitive Machines. We're in contact with some folks.
Just so it's made clear, excuse me, when he says LEO, he means low Earth orbit, not our LEO.
No, yeah.
We don't want to put cameras inside our LEO. That's up to the doctors. Okay, Tarek, sorry, go ahead.
I have a suggestion. Maybe this is my last suggestion, but you've got a pretty awesome camera system with live streaming. And, when it comes time, if it's at all physically possible, I think it would be really awesome to be able to have the arm, you're live streaming the views of Earth from space. If there's a way to keep that powered while you pluck it off Bartholomew, pop it on like a tug, and then it like jetties on to the next private space station. But it's all live streaming at the same time. And then you pop it on a private space station, get it on another tug, get it out to cislunar space. You've got one camera system that's the whole journey in one long arc. I think that would be amazing. Right.
It costs about 10,000 times as much as setting up a new camera. Right?
I'm just spitballing, man. The guy started live streaming in the 90s, and now he's beaming 4K from space. So
that's true. That's a very good point.
You gotta dream it to win it. right?
You absolutely do. I had no idea that this was, pinch me, is this real life is what it comes down to. And, so I take exactly everything you're doing, the way that you are thinking that could go, Tarek, is a perfect way to think about all of this. So if we can do it, we'll do it.
Great.
That's probably the nicest thing anybody's said to Tarek in a couple of decades.
That's right. It's because the only person I talked to was Rod. So
Yeah, exactly. Oh, you poor devil. Hey, Liam, I want to thank you for this. It's been a delight having you. It's been something we've wanted to do for quite a while. And, whenever you get your next upgrade, update, change, notion, whatever it is, please reach out to us because we'd love to have you back. So I want to thank you and everybody for joining us for episode 154, what we like to call The View from Above. Liam, you mentioned Send TV already. Are there other places we should check out online to see what you're up to and buy your product?
Oh, yeah. So ISS Above, go to issabove.com and follow Sen, obviously, on all the socials. You'll see the amazing content going up there every day. And when you look at those clips, they pretty much have come from me sitting here in this very place, commanding our payload to capture those views and make them available to you.
Mission Control at Temecula. I like it. Tarek, where can we find you orbiting these days?
Well, you can find me at space.com. As always, this weekend, I'm watching the solar eclipse. It's going to be great. Also playing some Fortnite. It is Fortnite OG Season 3, and there are not enough astronauts in it. But what are you going to do? So you can find me there at Spacetron Plays on YouTube.
Partial solar eclipse. It's not getting worked out.
Partial. All right. Let's all marvel at the fact that the moon crosses in front of the star that gives us life, Rod. Let's not diminish.
I'm just saying, I don't want people standing outside looking up saying, where the heck is it? He said it was going to be an eclipse.
Yeah, so
if I can jump in here, space station, can the space station see it? That's a question I'm asked. Is it going to be visible in our cameras? And unfortunately not. The space station's nowhere near the orbital sequence. It's not taking it there, but it could have been. And if so, we may have been able to catch the Earth shadow, the moon shadow, on the in the docking cam. If we were going past Canada, because Canada is where it is the best place. That's US, where the maximum partial is.
And I guess bits of Europe are going to be able to see some of the faces, but you got to be high north Canada to see it.
And just a reminder, because we always do it for people, if you're going to look at the partial eclipse, the best way is to use a pinhole and project it on the ground, or go stand under a leafy tree. You'll see 100 little partially eclipsed suns down on the ground, which is one of the coolest ways. If you're going to look directly at it, you got to use eclipse glasses that are sold by a reputable vendor, because anything else will ruin your eyes. And take it from me, you don't want cataracts at the age of 45, which I had. And you can find me at pilebooks.com or at astromagazines.com, or running things behind the curtain at the National Space Society at nss.org. Now, remember, you can always drop us a line at twis@twit.tv. That's TWIS at twit.tv. We love hearing from you, and either Tarek or I, probably me, will answer your emails, every single one. But Tarek does jump in every now and then when he's not crushed with work to do. New episodes of this podcast published every Friday on your favorite podcatcher, so make sure to subscribe, tell your friends, give us thumbs up, smile, send money, whatever you want to do. We appreciate it all. And don't forget, it's a lonely world without having you in Club Twit. It takes a lot of work for people besides Tarek and me, the whole staff, to send out these podcasts and get all these electrons moving your direction. Well, or in some cases, radio waves, whatever the case may be. So please consider joining Club Twit for just $7 a month. It will get you access to the video stream of this show ad-free. And it will help keep us in business and bringing you these fine products and really cool people like Liam, because that's what we live to do. Finally, you can follow the Twit Tech Podcast Network at Twit on Twitter and on Facebook at twit.tv on Instagram. Liam, thank you very much, and Godspeed to you and all your efforts. You're doing saintly work there. We appreciate it. And we'll see everybody next week.
No matter how much spare time you have, Twit.tv has the perfect tech news format for your schedule. Stay up to date with everything happening in tech and get tech news your way with Twit.tv. Start your week with This Week in Tech for an in-depth, comprehensive dive into the top stories every week. And for a midweek boost, Tech News Weekly brings you concise, quick updates with the journalists breaking the news. Whether you need just the nuts and bolts or want the full analysis, stay informed with Twit.tv's perfect pairing of tech news programs.